Jason here with Dirt Race Life. So we survived our final night at the 2022 Southern Street Stock Nationals. We didn't make the main show, but we ended up running a non-qualifier feature. Didn't really do that well in it. Car was a little better because of some changes I made. I want to show y'all some clips and highlights from that. And then don't go anywhere because we're going to talk about what needs to change on the car. And then also, I'm going to make some changes to the body. I got some stuff I'm just not liking. It's time to deal with it. Y'all stick around.
Today, we got a lot of racing again. First thing we're going to start off with today will be the parade lap. So as soon as this driver meeting is done, we can get everybody, as soon as possible, go ahead and start rolling out to the track, and we'll form you up when we get out there. We're going to probably go 3 or 4 wide. James Bradshaw, are you here?
Yes, sir, right here.
Mr. James, if you can, I want you to be the first one to go out. You know, and I want you to get that checker flag, and I want you to leave the field in memory of Mr. Charles Bird. Anybody that doesn't know, Charles Bird was a big supporter of this track. His team actually won the first ever Southern Street Stock Nationals with Rodney Wing driving it, and he means a lot to this track. He passed away a few months ago, so we're just going to do that in his honor tonight.
On behalf of the Ultimate Street Stock Challenge Series, once more we'd like to thank Rodney Wing and all the staff here at Wynot Motorsports Park for allowing us to be involved. This is one of our biggest races for the year, so we really appreciate that.
On the outside row, race fans, it's going to be Rafe McMahon out of Illinois. And in the second starting spot, it's our local driver in the 54 Project X Machine. It's going to be Chad Drag. And on the pole position here tonight, the Atwood Outlaw, T.J. Herndon. Race fans, this is what you come here for. We told you we was going to give it to you. Here it is. The 3 wide start for the 10th annual Race USA Southern Street Stock Nationals.
Carl did pretty good on surviving the Street Stock Nationals. I'd watched a lot of videos. This was my first trip. I needed to get that one in the book. And I'll have to say, I saw a lot of really good, clean racing. I think part of that was the track was just really hooked up the whole time. I saw a lot of races that had a lot of cars in them, and it would just drop green and stay green. Everybody was just hooked in. Top performers. Just, it was amazing the caliber of drivers and cars that were at this show. I did do one really stupid thing on the final lap of my non-qualifier. There was a 98 car, and on the final lap, I was carrying a ton of speed into the corner, and I should have known better because I was right up on his bumper, and when we would hit the cushion, it was just like hitting the brakes. You know, you'd slam into the cushion or whatever, and he caught it different from me, and I just nailed him right in the tail. I'm sorry about that. I spun him and knew better, you know, on a non-qualifier, and we're in the back there, and anyway, but I was just trying to run my very best lap, every lap I could. But other than that, that was the only damage I got, and I don't believe I damaged anything on that racer's car. Hopefully I didn't as well. But let's see, radiator did fine on it and everything, no damage there. I really want to talk about this right front shock setup with the spring and the tether chain on there and everything. My whole goal and purpose here, part of this was I really wanted to conquer and understand this and what is this doing. And the track conditions and everything were just the exact opposite of where my brain has been and what I have been doing for the tracks that I've been running. I've been on nothing but just dry slick, dry slick, dry slick. Got down there to Why Not, and that was some hooked up clay. I was in the first group every day, and I saw nothing but mat it to the floor tracks every time I went out and was running this chain, and that was just the exact opposite of what the car was wanting. But I was trying to understand it, trying to not make big changes and get lost in everything. And, you know, so yeah, I probably could have done some major changes and things that would have made some differences. There was a little bit of fear going on of me upsetting the situation I was in because the car was good. And so when you start talking about making changes to make minor improvements, you know, if you don't have a real good grip on exactly what to do, you can get yourself in trouble. On that final race there where I was showing some footage, I did loosen this chain up just until it started getting a little bit of slack in it, so that I wasn't preloaded into, you know, down into the spring further than what it would normally be at ride height. And it did help. I did see a difference. I did see a difference in the car getting bite during the rotation in the slick. I did feel a difference because of that. And in this process of trying to learn it, I've got this understanding now of really what's going on. And I don't actually think that I want to tighten and loosen the chain as a normal event. I think I want to hook and unhook the chain, and then I want to preload beyond what the chain's gonna hold at times. All right, so follow me here. When the car is sitting there static, you know, at ride height, and you're in the car, you're on the scales, and you scale the car out, and you see the left rear bike number that's in the car and everything, and you've got the chain just on there. It's like it's at tension. It's not pulling it down. It's just you've run it until it's tight. At that point, right then, that chain's not doing anything. And that represents your car only if it was on the track and it was at that point in the ride, you know, going forward. You know, that would be, it would not be having any influence on the left rear. And so you get that concept and you say, well, okay, but that never exists. It's either going to be on the chain or off the chain, right? Because you're never going to be perfectly at that point. And so when it's on the chain, what I mean is that the frame would come up more if the chain wasn't there, okay? So you think about, well, okay, when would that condition exist? Well, possibly as I'm going down the straightaway, getting ready to you know, enter into the turn. Before the turn, my right front shock is unloading. I'm unloading off my right front shock, so I've got that exit, and then I'm coming into the straightaway. My right front's exiting off, and I'll hit the chain. And so when I hit the chain, what's going to happen? Well, when I hit the chain, it is going to stop transferring more weight. Because you think about it, you know, your spring is pushing back up on the car. You're on 4 wheels, you're balanced, and so I'm taking weight back out of this right front, and it's transferring rearward in the car and to the left. You know, it's moving across this car in this direction. Okay, so when I hit the chain, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to stop getting that bite, you know, that's coming back into the car. So think about that. I'm limiting how much final left rear bite can be in the car. So when I enter this turn and I lift, I have limited how much this left rear has got additional traction over the top of the right rear. So I'm limiting how much it's loosening the car up. And this, it's finally dawned on me, this theory of why you should hook the chain up on dryslick and unhook the chain on tacky. And you're kind of cheating your normal timing device, I guess is the way to put it, because what it does is when I'm going into the turn, if I can limit how much left rear bite that, you know, extra left rear bite that I've got, but yet when I start throttling back up and I'm down in that turn, I'm down on that right front, then I can have more preload in that right front that did not affect my transition and entry. How do I put that another way? I want to make sure that this comes across. So when the right front starts to compress going into the turn, and it starts to compress and that chain's loose and you start to compress, at that point your setup and your left rear is whatever you've jacked into the car. Okay, so whatever you set your bite to, it's there. All right, and so the chain's not affecting you at all. It doesn't affect you until you hit it. So now, once you understand that, now think about how that I've got the chain and it's setting it at ride height, and the track's really dry slick, and I could take the right front jack and I could put another round into it. Okay, follow me? So I put another round into my right front. But my ride height didn't increase because I'm on the chain. And not only did my ride height not increase, I have not changed my bite on the scales, right? Because my ride height didn't change, didn't push up more. There's not more weight on the left rear now because of it, because the chain's holding it. But on the track, when I go into that turn and I'm down on that right front, that spring has got more preload on it, and when it comes into it and off that chain, it has transitioned to a point there's more energy stored in that spring now, and it's putting more left rear bite in the car. Technically, I would say it's holding more left rear bite in the car. So on a dry slick track, by doing that, I can keep the car from becoming too loose when I'm trying to tighten the car up. Think about it. If I just went and cranked up on the left rear jack, or if I just cranked up on the right front jack, yes, I'm going to get more bite off the corner. That left rear is going to be pushing more, but when I'm decelerating, when I'm lifting, it's also going to be dragging me more. So it's a trade-off there where that I can only tighten the car up so much, or I'm just going to really struggle to get the car to rotate into the corner without wanting to tail out on me, without wanting to skate on me, because that left rear is just dragging too much. The chain lets you get around that. And it finally, I had to run it. I just had to make laps and work with it, and, you know, lap after lap after lap. And after 4 days of, you know, tinkering around with it and stuff and changing stuff and everything, it's all clicking and I'm feeling and everything, because nobody will explain this. You know, and the question is, the ones that really know, well, they're not going to tell it. And then the others, they're just doing what they're told. But that's what it's doing. And so now for me, my next learning curve with that chain is first of all, I understand now when I'm on a tacky track, just unhook it. Just unhook it, because I want, you know, I want to get as much of that left rear drag, you know, coming into the turn. I don't want that going on, because on that heavy track, I'm trying to get the car to rotate on entry. You know, that's my big thing right there, and I can't put a lot of extra bite into it off, or it's gonna, you know, it's gonna make me tight off and everything. So I don't want the chain. The chain works against me. So I understand that now. You know, and then the next phase of that is that, okay, so I've got it unhooked in a qualifying, or I've got it unhooked, you know, in a heat and everything. And then me understanding and starting to document on my car, do I just hook it up? Do I hook it up and put one more round in it? Do I put two more rounds in it? You know, what's that next phase? And that is where people are buying these load sticks. And, you know, even on the websites and everything, and Keyser and all of them, they don't actually explain, you know, everybody tells you, you know, get a load stick and you do this and you put it on this number and, you know, that's how you change a spring out. Well, there's more to it than that, because that load stick, like if I'm on that chain like that and I've got a particular ride height, that load stick can tell me in pounds how much preload I've put into that, beyond just measuring that spring. So I see where that the load stick can work as an advantage at the track. You know, not just changing the spring out, but also understanding this preloading with tethers. I think the preloading with tethers is where the load stick becomes that next racer piece that you need. And for me, I see that now. I'm probably going to be looking into, I've got to come up with, you know, that device as that next thing. So I wanted to, while it was fresh on my mind, you know, that's our purpose here at Dirt Race Life. You know, I am trying to show everything as I learn it. Y'all know I'm a leaf guy, came back to coil cars. I built this coil car from scratch and everything, and I am literally learning it through trial and error and experiment as I go. Not everything I do is right, but when I do hit on these solutions and understand what's going on, I want to make sure that I'm sharing that as well with all of my thought process. That way, if anything's wrong, get on those comments, call me out on it, you know, because we're all learning this together. Okay, so that's as far as I'm going to go on that. All right, that's you know, we're not going to talk about that anymore. I'm going to be doing it. I'll say what I'm doing on it and everything, and I'm going to refer everybody back to this video. If for some reason my understanding is changing, then in the future I'll put that on a video, because we got to work on the right rear. I have a very good understanding. I don't want to overcomplicate this. We're going to talk about it separately and everything, but I want to talk about this body. I don't like this body. I am unhappy. I was really rushed on this body. Let's talk about what we're fixing to change. Not a sponsor in any way. Don't send me products or anything. But I just want to tell y'all, I love Dominator race products. This has got to be the toughest plastic they have come up with. It's really good and thick. I like their stuff, and they don't do a thing for me but charge me just like y'all. But they make good stuff, and I'm willing to say it. I ran these in the fenders on my Camaro, and they're just indestructible. But I got the Monte Carlo nose for this car, and I have beat it up pretty good, and I've punched holes through it, but that's about it. I haven't, you can't even hardly rip this stuff. Anyway, this thing right here, it just don't look right on this car. I don't have this body right. So here's what we're gonna do. I've looked at this, my deck right here. I've got my fixed height right here that's got my tubing and everything, but this floats. I put my whole breather underneath my hood, and I thought that was going to be a good look, good aero and everything for the car. I just can't stand it. Everybody thinks this car is horrendously tall, and I think the aero is just not working for me. I think I'm missing out on my aero here. You know, so because I'm totally candid about, you know, hey, we do it, it's one off. If it don't work, I'm honest about it. I don't like this, so I'm going to take this deck loose. I am going to lower this. I'm going to take my firewall down a little bit and get the angle going. I'm going to shoot my slope. I'm going to put the Dominator Camaro nose on it. I'm going to put the Dominator plastic fenders on it. I've matched everything, and I can just put it on without having to put a whole new body on it. I'm just going to drop this piece, blend it all in, make a couple aluminum pieces where my same hood will go. I'll cut my hole right here, put my fairing in, change the front bumper out, pretty much plug and play. Would probably look better if I went back and did the inset and ran a deep line, you know, with a broke body like that. Y'all, I don't have the tools and the expertise. You know, I'm not John Keith, and so I can't do those beautiful bodies like Statement Race Car does. If y'all want to talk about beautiful bodies, go check out Statement Race Cars. That was, of course, that was your front running cars down at the Southern Street Stock Nationals, and they make beautiful cars. Jealous, yes, but hey, you do what you got to do. So I'm going to take and I'm going to slope this hood down. I'm going to put the new nose, the new bumper on it, and get all of this smoothed up. I'm going to take the front, my top is too level. It needs to be down just a little bit on the front. I'm going to take this corner down about 2 inches. So I'm going to tuck my roof in a little bit on the turn, which is going to help me on aero. Can't go too far with that, or I'm going to get called out on it by tech, because you're supposed to have I think you're supposed to have a level roof. You can't really get weird with your roofs and stuff. So I'm going to take and cut it down. I'm just going to twist it in just a little bit. It's going to help the look. It's going to help the aero a little bit with the car. Back of the car, I've got to smooth up and you know, put a new Nerf bumper on the back of it and stuff, where I just beat the corner off the car against the wall down there at Why Not. Oh, let's see what else. I'm going to get an engine block this week. I have a friend that has donated me an engine block that is standard. I'm going to get it cut. And what we're looking at doing is just getting a lightweight rotating forged assembly for me to assemble. I'll put it in myself and everything after I get my machine work done. And I've got to find, I'm looking, y'all help me, the Dart Platinum Iron Eagle heads, like the 55cc. Are those new available? Is Dart just behind on production? Or does anybody have those in stock where I can get them? And I want just like a 202 valve. I don't want a 205 or whatever, because I'm not running like a 400 block. I'm gonna run a 350 block. So I don't want to shroud the valves any worse than they're already gonna be. But I'm looking for the 55cc's because I want to get that compression up, you know, past 12 to 1, 12 and a half to 1, at least 13 to 1 would be ideal. 14 is just too far out there. If I'm 12 or 12 and a half to 1, I'm going to be really happy. The reason for that is because that helps me give me longer legs with that 2-barrel carburetor on the top end. The more compression you've got, you'll stretch that RPM range out. That motor can keep on working through that little 2-barrel right there. But anyway, that is the build that we're going to try to get together for this car this fall. So we're going to get it underway. So I get the block in, we get the machine work, we'll get that all on video. And I cannot say enough about how much we enjoyed the Southern Street Stock Nationals. Again, it was our first trip, you know, and I would have loved to have made the feature. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not naive. We were there to get laps, to learn, to understand just exactly what the best of the best looks like. Wow, it's pretty impressive, y'all. But there is no doubt in my mind running, we are not far away, and I better understand what we have to do to be there, because I am going to build it at home in the shop, just all from scratch, show it all the way, and we are going to make this a top competing winning car. All right, if y'all like what you're seeing right here, check out my links. I've got Patreon, and I've also got where you can directly sponsor us through YouTube as well on the links below. And as little as $5 a month, that's how we're doing this, y'all. And so if that's something that you are interested in looking at, please click on the links, check me out. It makes a big difference for us, because you see, we're just working out a shop in the backyard. Thank y'all. See you next time.